Alright, so welcome back to Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. So, for this video, we're going to start by talking about the first phase of the game, which is called Resource Collection. So during this phase of the game, you're going to gain resources from all unoccupied spaces in your ranch. What does that mean? Well, let me show you your ranch. So here's your ranch, and you'll notice on the ranch there are several resources here. You've got meat, you've got the plant, and there's this box that indicates supply. So you have supply resources, you have meat resources, and you have leaf resources. In order to feed your dinosaurs in this game, and you will need to feed them unless you want them to escape, in order to feed them, you're going to need some of these resources, obviously. If it's an herbivore dinosaur, it's going to need plants. If it's a carnivore, it's going to need meat, obviously. Some dinosaurs have one or the other, which means you can feed it one or the other, and then that will be fine with it. But of course, that's only for these purple dinosaurs. Only these purple dinosaurs, some of them will have that as an option, that you can either feed it meat or plant, because it's considered an omnivore, okay? Now, supplies here aren't used to feeding your dinosaurs, but they do a variety of things, like, for instance, allow you to complete certain actions, and we'll get to those when we get to the phase that allows you to use actions, but that's the point of them. Now, it said that during the first phase, you're going to collect resources, and the resources indicated are these here on your ranch. So that means you're going to start off the game with 5 herbivore, or 5 plants, 3 meat, and 1 supply. Each player is going to start with the same resources for the first round for resource collection. Now, what about the rest of the rounds? Well, that could be different, and it could be very different for each player, because, you see, as you start putting dinosaurs into your ranch, they're going to cover certain areas that actually have plants and meat and supplies. And so when a dinosaur covers it up, you're only going to get these resources indicated for the ones that aren't covered up by a dinosaur, okay? So in this case, we would only get 4 plants, 3 meat, and 1 supply, because this stegosaurus is covering it up. Now, of course, this stegosaurus probably would have an enclosure surrounding it to boot, but you get the point, that you'll get less resources for the more dinosaurs you have in your ranch. So more dinosaurs means less resources at the start of each round, okay? Less dinosaurs means more resources. But there are other ways of getting more resources too, and you'll probably find yourself every other round at least going to one of these action spots to gain some additional resources. That will probably happen, most likely, during the course of the game. Now, how do you keep track of all of your resources? Well, on your handy little player card here. There's a lot of things that take place on this handy little card, but one of the things you'll notice is we have numbers here. These numbers here are to indicate how many of a particular resource you have. And so, for instance, if I had 5 plants, you would put this nice little leaf token to indicate that you have 5 plants. And so that will go up and go down depending on, if you're feeding a dinosaur or if you're gaining resources, etc. Then, of course, if you have meat, like say you have 3 meat, then you'll use this little token here that looks sort of like a meat, and it sort of does, especially when it's flipped on the other side, which I don't have it on. There we go. Now it looks like meat. So there you go. Nice meat on the bone, if you will. So that indicates that I've got 3 meat currently. And then you have this little token here, which sort of looks like a box almost. That is to indicate how many supply resources you have, and this is how many you would get to start with in the first round of the game. You would have this many. And so obviously this will fluctuate. And the most you can only have is 13, so you'll never have more than 13 of a particular resource. So there's no need to continue trying to collect extra resources via an action. For instance, if one of the resources start going up into this area here, because after all, it's going to be wasted resources if you try to have more than 13. So that's what you're going to do with the resources. Now, while we have this card here, what does everything else mean? Well, you'll notice that the dinosaurs here tell you what they are. So the yellow ones are the Stegosaurus, the green ones are the Velociraptor, the blue ones are the Brachiosaurus, and the red ones are the Allosaurus. So these are the Allosaurus right here. That means the T-Rex is actually in this game, but it's a purple dinosaur, not a red one, okay? But the Allosaurus is very similar to a T-Rex. It's still a carnivore after all. It'll also tell you what they eat. So the Allosaurus eats meat, it's a carnivore. The Brachiosaurus is an herbivore, and vice versa. You know, Velociraptor is obviously a carnivore, and the Stegosaurus is obviously an herbivore. It also tells you how much each dinosaur in your ranch is going to cost you. So if you have an Allosaurus in your ranch, you're going to lose 2 meat resources. With the Brachiosaurus, you're going to lose 2 plant resources, and with the Velociraptor, you will lose 1 meat resource, and with the Stegosaurus, you will lose 1 plant resource. At the end of the game, if you still have dinosaurs in your ranch, it tells you how many victory points each of them will be. So if you have an Allosaurus in your ranch, it's going to give you 4 points per Allosaurus. With the Brachiosaurus, it's going to give you 3 victory points. With the Velociraptor, it's going to give you 3 victory points, and with the Stegosaurus, it's going to give you 2 resources. So that's just some of the stuff on this card. But then again, there's more. There's also this little handy guide here for escaping dinosaurs. If you have a dinosaur that escapes your ranch, it's going to indicate what you're going to lose. If it's an herbivore that you lose, meaning it escaped and you lose it, you'll also lose a segment of fence within your ranch. That's an action you can take in this game. You can take an action that allows you to get more fence pieces. So that's something you can do, and you'll definitely need them if you're going to have dinosaurs in your ranch. But you're going to lose one if one escapes, as well as the escaping dinosaur. If it's a carnivore that escapes, well, the carnivore, you're going to lose that, obviously, and you're also going to lose another dinosaur of your choice as well. So you're going to lose 2 dinosaurs at once, because after all, it ate one of your herbivores on its way out. So that's basically kind of thematic in that sense. Now, another thing you'll notice is we have a holding area. Normally, when you get a dinosaur, it's going to go straight here to your holding area. So if you get a dinosaur with these actions here, Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Velociraptor, Allosaurus, or even with these actions here, which is still with all those dinosaurs there, they're first going to stay here in your holding area. We'll talk about how they get from your holding area to your ranch later. But the point is, most of the dinosaurs you get will go to your holding area. So they will not go into your ranch right away. That means if you have a whole bunch of dinosaurs that you need in order to complete public contracts, or private contracts for that matter, but they're sitting in your holding area, you can't discard them from your holding area to complete those contracts. They have to first be in your ranch. And then, of course, your rancher meeples will go here when they're not being used for actions. And that's basically everything on this card, every bit of information that you need to know. So that's how resources work and everything, and that's how that phase of the game works for resource collection. Since there's a lot going on in the second phase, we will cover the second phase in the next video.